Check 1 2, 1 2 3 4. Hello, everybody. It's Adam here, and I want to make this video about this idea I was thinking about as of recently, and that is that it's not not saying it's good enough. Not just saying it's good enough. I've been noticing lately when I go out that sometimes I might be at the bar, I might be at the club, and I might be there for like 2 hours. And sometimes I just say, it's good enough. I came here, I stuck it out for 2 hours. I did some approaches, I put in the time, I showed up. It's good enough. It's good enough. But yet, there might be a girl that's interested or seems like maybe there's a connection there. But instead of sticking it out till the very end of the night, I just tell myself it's good enough. I'll come back next time. I put in the hours for today, and I'm tired. I don't feel like staying out. I got work in the morning. Fill in the blank, whatever excuse that you yourself might even be saying. But then I think, if you really want to get results in this area, you do have to figure out what is your motivation, have clear goals for yourself, and think about them in detail as to what it is that you are looking to accomplish, what experiences you're looking to have, what kind of friends do you want in your life, what kind of girlfriend, if that's what you're looking for, or what kind of women do you want to attract into your life, so that when you're going out, you have a clear idea of what it is that you're shooting for. Because as the saying goes, if you don't have a target in mind, then then you're going to end up anywhere, and it's going to be you're not going to have a direction, so you'll just end up anywhere, and so you have to have an idea of exactly where it is that you want to end up. And so this is what I was thinking about recently, this idea of like good enough. It's good enough. You have to decide, like, is it good enough? No, it's not good enough. You have to be willing to maybe stay out for 5 hours. You have to be willing to put in the effort and make the attempt for maybe the people that you want to pursue things with, and be persistent and give it your best shot and try. That means maybe they say, I'm going to go to the bathroom, and when they come out, if you're really into that person, you re-engage. You see them maybe talking with another guy, and you get in there and you make another attempt and reopen. But what can happen is you might be thinking to yourself, oh, that guy, he looks more younger and more attractive. She's probably into that guy, right? Which is a deficiency in your mindset, if that's what you're thinking. Because first of all, you want to recondition your beliefs, so that you are encouraging yourself, you're believing in yourself, and you're not putting yourself down, and you have some amount of entitlement where you say, no, I deserve this. I can go after what I want. I'm going to make the attempt. She very well could want me to go up and talk to her, and I very well might be her type. So you're willing to compete. You got to have that competitive. You got to be willing to compete. You got to have that competitiveness to you, especially when you're going out there into bars and clubs. You're in a competitive environment. Other people are looking to meet maybe the same women that you want to meet, and you got to be willing to re-engage and stick it out to the very end of the night. Maybe even reapproach. Take a man's rejection, as they say. Don't just reject yourself. If the girl never stated explicitly that she's not interested, she doesn't want to talk to you, she has a boyfriend, whatever it may be, then it's fair game. Get back in there and try again until she tells you that she's explicitly not interested. You might do that to challenge yourself. Over time, you might more so be able to pick up uh, on the subtleties of communication, and maybe you'll understand, or you yourself will feel that the vibe isn't there, and maybe you don't really get along with that person, and you'll understand that, and you won't have to go that far until you get an explicit no. But then again, you might just challenge yourself to do that anyways, because you never know. Maybe it's a limiting belief. Maybe you're making excuses. Maybe you're rejecting yourself. And so it's better just to give yourself that opportunity, give yourself that chance. So, it's you got to have that drive. You got to understand what it is you want. You have to be willing to stick it out for maybe 4 or 5 hours or whatever it takes until there's nothing left. You don't just say, good enough. I'm going to go home. I'm tired. I'm this, I'm that. And that brings me to my next point, which is that's why it's important also to be organizing your life outside of the game, outside of socializing, outside of going to bars, outside of going to clubs, where you are, you're not neglecting other areas of your life that are also important, so that you can then sustain this lifestyle that you're looking to sustain. Like if you want to make sure you're staying on top of your work, you want to make sure that you're organizing your schedule and organizing your time so that you're getting the proper amount of sleep regularly, so that you can get out to the bars and the clubs, so that you can stick it out to the very end. And this something as well, is that if you can make that shift in your mentality where you find that motivation, where you find that passion, where you find that drive, where you go, I'm not going home until the very end. I'm not going home until there's nothing left for me, and I'm playing to win. I'm not playing to just come out and partake. I'm coming to get the results that I'm looking to have, and I'm willing to stick it out until the very end of the night and continue to make attempts on the people that I want to talk to until there's nothing left. And if you can do that, just for making that shift alone, you're already going to put yourself ahead of a certain percentage of the men that are there that aren't willing to do that, that say, it's good enough, I'm going to go home. You're going to beat out those guys. Then if you can switch your mentality where you develop your self-esteem, where you're organizing your time, where you're staying on top of your work, where you're managing your income and your inner happiness, your inner fulfillment, and you're taking care of that aspect of your life, which is going to make you more less needy, less desperate for an outcome. That's also going to make you more attractive, and it's also going to put you ahead of a certain amount, again, of the competition of the other men that are out there. So the more you optimize in all areas of your life, the more chance you're giving yourself of success. And then I was thinking about this as an analogy as well. It's like you got professional sports players, maybe in football or basketball or soccer or whatever it may be. They are dedicating their life to training. They're in their training. Then they get into the games. They're giving it their all in the games. And sometimes it is luck. Like both teams, you could say, are equally as good. And they both have a chance of pulling off the win. But sometimes you get a lucky play. Maybe there was that highlight of that football player where he caught the ball on his helmet, and it was, part of it you could say was fluke. It was luck, but it also comes down to training and repetitions. And had he not put in the training, had he not put in the repetitions that he had put in leading up to that moment, likely that he wouldn't have capitalized or been lucky or been able to have succeeded in that catch. So there may be some luck involved, but then there's a saying that the harder that you work, the luckier that you tend to be, right? So that means when you're getting out socializing, you're putting the reps in. When you're out in the day and you see that girl that you're compelled to want to talk to, you make yourself go do it. You're developing self-control. You're developing the ability to overcome limiting beliefs, self-doubt, fears, worries, and you go up and you go take that shot. You make the attempt. And that's maybe one of the fundamental aspects of game, is that just making yourself go do the approach under any circumstances, which is maybe an ideal and it's maybe not realistic to achieve, but that might be something you strive for. Any circumstance, no matter what, when you see a girl that you're interested in, you get after it. You go make the attempt. And that's why this is sort of a self-development pursuit, where you're going to have to develop yourself in all areas, or you're going to realize that you're going to have to develop yourself in all areas too, when it comes to your finances, when it comes to your fitness, your health, and all these areas, Because if you have that self-control and self-discipline to make yourself go and approach any girl under any circumstances, no matter how intimidated you are or intimidating of the situation is, well, you are going to start developing self-confidence, self-love, self-esteem, and you're going to have to. You're going to have to be like, you're going to have to value your own fulfillment, your own happiness. And when you're doing that, you're going to start having higher standards for yourself. You're going to say, you know what? I want a better job than this. I want more money than this. And you're going to start working for these things. You're going to start discovering maybe that you have limiting beliefs or that you have self-doubts, or you're going to be introspective and realize that when you went up to approach that girl, maybe you held yourself back because you said, oh, I'm not good enough. She's out of my league. Well, then you realize, oh shit, that's a deficiency. That's a deficiency in my mentality. And then you're going to work to overcome that. And the next time you see that girl that you're compelled to want to talk to, you make yourself go do it, which is slowly building up more self-respect, self-esteem, and integrity with yourself, keeping promises with yourself. These are the kinds of things that you're developing. And you might be coming from a place where this didn't come naturally, like myself. You know, I didn't come from a place where this came naturally. I definitely had more self-esteem issues and confidence issues growing up, and a lot of that had to do with my upbringing and where I came from. I didn't grow up with lots of money. We were, constantly going to food banks. I didn't have a lot of support from family and these kinds of things growing up. I'm grateful for the support that I did have, but I didn't have somebody there to give me a path, show me a way, encourage me. You have to develop the ability to encourage yourself, give yourself credit, validate yourself, support yourself, believing in yourself. Because nobody else is going to believe in you more than you can believe in yourself. And in fact, people are maybe going to doubt you, and everybody wants what's best for themselves. So ultimately, no one's there to support you and to say, oh, you got this, Adam. Oh, you can do it, Adam. And they're just dedicating their lives for your success. No, everybody's worrying about themselves. So you have to give yourself credit and believe in yourself more than anybody else. And part of that and how you can develop that is by getting out there and making yourself take the opportunities that present themselves. When you see those girls that you're interested in the day, you go and you talk to them. When you go out to bars and the clubs, you go and you start talking to people and you socialize, and you understand that rejection is normal. And then you're not taking it personally, and you're working on controlling your own state, your own happiness, your own fulfillment, the way that you view the world, so that maybe when you don't get the reaction that you want, you're like, hey, it's all good. On to the next one. That's part of the skill too, is how quickly can you forget and leave the last interaction behind and go into the next interaction with a clean slate. Not bringing that baggage into the next interaction and starting anew. That's a skill in this game as well. So, also, I was also reflecting on, some of my past experiences before I discovered, the dating industry, the game, started reading more books on this area and educating myself in psychology and, peak performance, and, listening to people like Tony Robbins, and understanding more so that I'm not a victim, that it's up to me to get out there and make things happen for myself. And realizing too that, again, how much do you want this? The enemy of the best is the good. You have to really figure it out for yourself. Like, what do you want to accomplish? How dedicated are you to this? Are you going out to bars and clubs? Are you organizing your life so that you can sustain this lifestyle? Are you pushing yourself in all areas of your life so that you can optimize your results in your dating life as well? Because all of these things are correlated. Your health, your wealth, and your relationships, they're all correlated. And if you're neglecting one of those areas, it's going to affect you in one of those three other areas as well. And like I said, this didn't come naturally to me either, but I was able to have a lot of fun experiences. I was able to cultivate this area of my life. I was able to build up my self-confidence, build up my self-esteem, understand that I'm not a victim, understand that I actually have control over the people I hang around with the friends that I have, with the women that I want to have in my life. One big catalyst for this area for me too was, before I discovered this, I was going through, struggling, wanting to be a professional skateboarder. And, as I started to acquire some more notoriety and recognition in that area, I was getting some photos running magazines. I was starting to get sponsored in these things. And that brings with it also things that I wasn't aware of, like scrutiny, attention. People then maybe you start getting pressure from expectations, and people maybe crap talking you behind your back. And I remember there was this girl that worked at the skate shop that I was sponsored by, and I was actually working there as well. And she was one of the more attractive girls that I had ever felt like was showing interest in me at that time. And you know, in the end, it didn't end up working out, and part of me thought that was because of the perceptions and the things that people were saying about me, the rumors that were going around, people talking crap. And part of me thought maybe it was because of that I didn't get to that girl maybe no longer showed interest in me. Now, looking back, I don't think that that's the case. I just wasn't really. Well, definitely, I was more needy, more victim mentality, more desperate. I ended up basically like stalking this girl, not actually, but I'd look her up on Facebook and found out that she was going to one of the churches at the time that my mom worked for, and I found out that she was a certain ethnicity, and I went and bought her some candies, and I gave her these candies. I actually asked her out to a movie. She said she would go with me. And I was quite happy with this. This is embarrassing for me to say too. I mean, I was pretty infatuated with this girl, and again, she was like one of the more attractive girls that I'd ever felt was showing interest in me, and I was excited to maybe go on a date with this girl. But again, like, it didn't end up working out, and and so after that, I mean, that definitely something that I thought to myself was like, I no longer, I'm 25 at this time, or coming up on 25. And that was a big, one of the reasons what got me thinking was like, I don't no longer want to be in this industry. Like, I'm not, my goal was to be one of the best skaters out there, but I didn't feel like that at this point, at the age that I was, that I was going to take things any further, or that I was going to accomplish the goals that I had for myself. So, I made that decision to quit skateboarding at that time. And as well as I was like, I want girls that I'm attracted to. And if, and maybe the things that people are saying about me is something that perhaps is preventing me from getting the women that I would truly like to be with. And I don't want that either. So I gave it up. And then over the years, as I've been on this pursuit now for like 13 years, where I've known about this, and it's just been something that I've fell in love with, that I was passionate about. As well as I got into other things too, like working out and these things, because as well, it's just good to find other things that you're interested in, but and that fulfill you, and that can bring you joy, and are meaningful for you in your life. But what I was saying is that what I learned over time too, though, is that the perceptions of others don't hold you back. That ultimately, that could have just been in my mind. Again, I wasn't confident. I wasn't as confident at that time. I didn't have as much self-esteem. I wasn't educated. I didn't have the mental tools that I later then gave myself through reading. And that's a huge one: reading, learning about psychology and these things. One of the big ones, there's a book called Not As a Man Thinketh, which is a good book too, but it's another one. I forget what it's called, but this guy was imprisoned in a Nazi imprisonment camp, and I think majority of his family members, like mother, father, sister, they were all put in the gas chambers. And this guy was a psychologist himself, but what he learned through that experience, he actually ended up escaping by stripping himself naked and jumping into a pile of dead bodies, and they then dumped those bodies somewhere on the outskirts of where he was at that time. And he basically hiked naked all the way to some other country, adjacent country, and survived. But something that he learned through that experience was that, these Nazis, the people in that he was in this imprisonment camp, they could take everything away from him. They could take his clothes. They had full control over his external reality. But the one freedom that no one can ever take from you is the way that you interpret things, your internal perception, how you interpret the world, how you respond to external circumstances. And that's a major mental tool that you can then take on and apply to your life. It's the same thing goes when you're out and dating. It's like you don't have control. This is a chaotic environments that you're going to show up into. They're chaotic. And you're not always going to have ultimate control over whether somebody's receptive to your advancements or not. But the one thing that you are control over is your attitude, your actions. When you show up, what entails a good night for you? That you hook up with someone? Well, no, because that's ultimately not in your control. But what you say is like, did I give myself the opportunity? Did I make the attempt for the types of girls that I wanted to talk to? Did I stay out for the entirety of the night? Or did I say, it's good enough, right? And that's something that you have full control over. So you focus on that. You focus on what do you have full control over, and understand what it is you want to get out this. What are the results that you're looking to have, and then be willing to put in the work. Maybe you don't really want it as much as you think you do. Because if you really want this, you're going to make the time. You're going to get out there. You're going to do the approaches. When you're out in the day, you see a girl that you want to talk to, you're going in and you're talking to her. And at nighttime, you're making it a priority to get out there, maybe 3 times a week minimum, and you're in the bars and you're in the clubs and you're in there for from maybe 10 till 3 in the morning, and you're putting in that work for the entirety of the time. When I got back into skateboarding, I had taken that hiatus. Then COVID came around, and I got back into skateboarding after some time off, and after learning some of these concepts and ideas about the 10,000 hour rule and how repetition is important and being consistent in these things, I started to get back on a skateboard. I started to get kind of passionate about that. I was thinking about maybe doing some coaching in that area, and I wanted to get my skill set, to a level where I could at least, show that I had some proficiency in that area, and that I could maybe help somebody else with increasing their skill set in that area, just like I am with the dating area. Now, what I saw, though, which was interesting to have a different perspective there, is that the amount of effort that you need to put in to see just a tiny bit of progress was incredibly off-balanced. And that's the thing, is that progress is very slow, right? So you're going to hit plateaus. You're going to hit little ruts where you feel like you're not progressing, but you keep showing up, you keep putting in the work, you keep putting in the effort. The resistance is always going to be there. You don't focus on the end result. You just focus on your process. You focus on having routines, setting your life up in a way where you can be consistent, and you can just keep showing up and putting in the time and putting in the work, and you let the results come as they will. But that's actually a lot harder to do than it is to say, because it's going to require you to have to be more disciplined, to have to maybe change your habits, to actually have to confront a lot of the weaknesses in your character and in your actions and in your behaviors. You're maybe going to have to change your diet. You're going to maybe have to understand that you are weak in a lot of areas, that you're deficient in a lot of areas, and you have to face that. So anybody can achieve anything, but you have to be willing to discipline yourself and keep showing up and put in the effort. And this is the thing. So another thing, are you reading books? Are you learning from others? Are you challenging yourself? Are you pushing your comfort zone? Are you just doing the same things again and again and sticking to your comfort zone, saying, "Oh, I'm only the day game guy. I only approach girls when they're all alone. There's no one else around." Or you say, "No, I got to get better. Wherever the resistance is, that's where I need to go. Wherever the resistance is, wherever that challenge lies, that's where I need to move towards." So, another great thing is, if you find that this is difficult to get yourself to get out there and take action, or if you'd like somebody to show you what this looks like in person or somebody to hold you accountable and give you some strategies and talk to you and support you on your journey here, someone like myself that's been doing this for 13 years, hit me up, datingdestruction@gmail.com, and I'll put a list of some of the services that I have in the description, but as well as I offer more premium services like in-field trainings and these things. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, peace out, my friends.